All right, good day, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of RoadFS Detail Memoirs, where every week we're bringing some amazing guests, business owners, vendors, suppliers to help you grow your business. My name's Jody.
And I'm Puzey. Please remember to go like and subscribe to this anytime you see it on YouTube or Facebook or any of the platforms that you do. Please help us out with that. It helps us keep getting great guests like today's guests and moving forward.
So we are super excited. Our guest is Mr. Kean Moore. He is the owner of Lavish Detailing and Coating. I love his logo. It's like you can just feel like you're gonna fly and soar and get taken care of. So good afternoon. How are you today?
Doing pretty good. Great day. Just finished up a couple jobs and enjoying the AC. It's around 97 degrees down here in Florida, so it is hot.
So what part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Central Florida, in between the Villages and Orlando, Florida.
Gotcha.
That's awesome. Yeah, Florida is one of my favorite places, but boy, this time of year, the humidity and the heat, it gets you.
Yeah, I'm on my second shower.
It's been really humid here in Idaho. We've had tons of days above 100, but usually it's low humidity, and then all of a sudden it dropped a few degrees, but it went up in humidity, and I would rather have the heat than the humidity any day.
Hell called us last week and said they want their weather back.
We live in it daily.
Oh man, that's fun. So tell us, how did you get started in detailing?
Pretty much when I was a kid, I used to clean my grandparents' cars for like 10, 20 bucks. And then I knew I liked it, but they was always like, go to school. So I went to school and got my degree. And oh, wow, that's crazy. I got my degree in a medical lab technician. So I did that for a couple years. And I actually moved up and it was a lab director at a nephrologist's office. So I was in charge of running the blood and the chemistry for kidney patients. So, and I would literally come in, I worked 4 days a week, 10-hour days. We call them 410s. And I was just like, yo, there has to be something else. I would come in when it's dark and leave when it's dark, 7 to 7.
Yeah.
And on the weekends, I would pretty much go travel. And a buddy of mine was just like, yo, I'm thinking about starting a detailing business. I was like, go for it, bro. Go for it. And then he was just telling me about how awesome it was. And I was like, I love cars and I'm looking for something different. So he sent me a list of the products and I ordered them. It's crazy. Kind of like, I felt like my boss was kind of pushing me towards it because with my job, we was actually getting late paychecks or whatever like that. So I got a late paycheck. It was like $600. So I took that $600 and just bought supplies. And I was like, I'm going to go at this. I was detailing out of my wife's Hyundai Sonata at the time.
Nice. And I bet when you checked all those chemicals and all those products, none of them were blood. So that's a big plus there.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of dangerous chemicals, but none of them are blood. I just noticed that. So,
oh yeah. So I was like, let me give it a try. And my first job, I remember my first job, it was at an apartment complex. So literally I ran 100-foot cord from her apartment down to my vacuum cleaner and detailed 2 cars. And then I had to drive around to their, drive around to the spot where you would wash the cars. And literally it took me 8 hours to do that. And I got paid $100. And she bought me lunch and took that out of it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. I was just like, well, I can get some before and after pictures. So from there, I started posting my before and after pictures and started working. And I was doing this while I was working 4 10-hour days at the lab.
And that seems to be a real common thing is people start out, kind of part-time, which is actually an advantage of the detailing industry is you don't have to go into it 100%. There's a lot of people that do that. But so now, how many years ago was that?
That was 5 years ago.
Wow. Well, yeah. I got to know, because you hit on something really, there that I think is really important. You're like, I only made $100, 8 hours, but I recognized that you needed to take the before and after photos.
Mhm.
You know, you knew that you had to at least use it as a marketing opportunity to earn new business. So tell me, how did you, because I'm looking at your reviews, I'm looking at your website, and you have 100% 5-star reviews. There's not 1 4, there's not 1 3, there's not 1 2, there 1 nobody's even thinking about with you. How did you get 5? I mean, everybody across the board.
So I tell everyone this is how I feed my family. I put my wife through school, and it's just like this is a passion. So I pretty much let the clients know that I pour my heart into this, and it's like I don't want you to leave without feeling like you had a 5-star service. So I tell everyone this is how I feed my family. I pretty much put everything I have into this because if not, my kids don't eat. It keeps the roof over their head. So every job, if it's not right, I ask them, hey, if there's anything I need to do to make this right, if you feel like giving me a 4-star review, what can I do to make it a 5?
Gotcha.
Oh, I love
Nice.
that.
That's perfect. And I think that's important. And that's one of the reasons we do this show, so people can understand what other people are doing that's successful and works for them. And I think a lot of times people work for that 5-star review, but are they doing the right things to get there?
Yeah. We ask a lot of questions. It's just like, and I set my expectations. I was just like, hey, what are you looking for? Or what are you expecting out of this detail or this ceramic coating? So then that way I can meet your expectations and then I can overdo it. So that's a lot of them. A lot of them are just like blown away because I met them where they wanted to be at. And I was just like, well, you told me you wanted this and I gave you way more than what you asked for.
Right.
Within money reach.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was gonna be my next question. How are you offsetting, you know, the expectation and killing their expectation, the deliverable, with balancing your time to still be profitable?
So pretty much like I had one client, he came in. So a lot of my clients buy brand new vehicles. So I ask them, hey, what are you wanting to do? Or what are you looking for? And they're just like, oh, I just want a full exterior. I'm just like, okay, awesome. I can definitely do that. Well, I ceramic coated the inside barrels, or well, since your car is new, I can pretty much ceramic coat the seats in there, which only take me about 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever like that, depending on what it is. But I look for any type of way that can overdo it that I can do in about 30 minutes or less or an hour or less. So I just like, okay, if I can give you an hour of my time because you've already invested so much with me, why not? And then I let them know that, hey, this wasn't included with what I gave you. I just wanted to give you this just to thank you for doing business with me. Every client that I have, I personally thank them and tell them, hey, I appreciate you for doing business with me, because I let everyone know this is how I put my wife through doctorate. I had 2 kids, I have a mortgage and all type of stuff like that. So I really let them know you're not just buying a detail or a ceramic coating. You're supporting me, my family, and things like that. And I try to do a little more.
Okay, that's awesome, because I think a lot of times people don't communicate with the client at that level, right? I mean, we're all small business owners in the sense that, you know, we don't go into somebody and explain like you're doing that this is a small business. This isn't somebody that's, you know, running a mega operation. So that's,
you know, what's interesting about it is I'm thinking about the customer experience, right? So I come in, I bring my car to you, or you come to me, you give me a quote, and you say, look, man, I'm going to do this, this, and this for you. And then when I get back, I'm walking around the car and I'm seeing this 5-star job, and you're going, and oh, by the way, I also ceramic coated your seats as a thank you for doing business with me, because the reason why I'm doing this is because I got 2 beautiful babies at home and a wife that I'm sending to school. And it creates a connection with you as a business owner, but more importantly, as a man and as a father. And I think every customer wants to feel like their family as well as their car is being taken care of.
Exactly. And that's pretty much kind of what we do. And we even have our story of me putting my wife through school, us traveling, things like that on our website. And we get so many customers just like, oh, wow, I looked at your website and see that, oh, you're a father, you're putting your wife through school. I even had some clients, my wife graduated with her doctorate. They want her book. They want to talk to her and stuff like that. So we let them in. And I've learned that most people like to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And it's like everyone is a parent or a father or something like that. So I try to build a relationship with every client that I have.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we are really relationship driven. You know, I think that's the only way to do it. Jody and I have, you know, for years have talked to people about it. We're like, it's not just a transactional process;
Much
it's a
more.
relationship. You get to know the people, you get to understand what their needs are, their kids, their, you know, what their likes and their dislikes are, and you know, you ask them, hey, how was your last trip? I know you were going to go to, this place or that place and things like that.
Oh, and they love it. And what I do too is I write down notes about each client, and then when we talk to them, I follow up. Hey, how's your son doing? Or I have a client that loves scalloping. Hey, how was scalloping this month, or whatever like that. So I try to create a bond with them, and they're always asking about my kids and wife and stuff like that. So it's definitely.
So I think I know the answer to this, but I want to ask it anyway. Are you planning on bringing on people? And if you are, how would you manage having that same level? I think that would be really tough having that same kind of connection that you currently have.
Yeah, so I've mulled that over time and time again. It's just like I kind of like how we have our life right now. Literally, we just took a 2-week vacation and we still got deposits. Everything was still going. So I've actually thought about how can I still give this same experience to the client when I'm not there, or if I hire people. And it's kind of like, it is hard. I've been talking to a lot of guys, but I'm trying to kind of do my research on other business owners that are getting that. But the thing that I've came up with is find someone that want it as bad as you do. But I like to give homework. Like I have a couple guys that like to come, that they say they want to detail, and I'll put them out there, kind of like what I had to do. It's like, try to make a relationship with this client, or try to like talk to them, or I'll role play. How would you talk to this customer? And I kind of tell them what I do. Do you feel comfortable with that? Is that something that you would like to do, or whatever like that? But I haven't really found anyone that I could just be like, hey, that could fill my shoes. But I'm kind of happy with where I have it right now.
Yeah, that's a hard decision to make. Years and years ago, when Jody and I were just the only ones that would talk to clients, and I had a friend that named Ben, and he had the same philosophy, and we would be at, coffee or meetings or stuff. We're both involved in the Chamber of Commerce, and he worked for other organizations. And finally one day I came to Jody and I was like, I want you to meet this guy, because I think he has the same kind of philosophy. And if we were going to bring another person on to help us out, this is the kind of person I want to bring on. And that's what did it. We weren't actually looking to bring somebody on. I met somebody that had the same kind of goals and philosophy, and that's what brought that about. So it is interesting, because there's a lot of people that do it both ways. There's a lot of independent people that are like yourself, that they're like, you know what, I like where I'm at, I'm just going to keep doing this. There's other people that say, I don't want to keep having my hands on it forever. I want to bring somebody else in. And I always wonder how they do that, because you want that same level of customer experience, but you just want somebody else to do the labor of that, so that you can continue to keep everybody fed, right? I mean, and like you're saying, we have the same philosophy though, because we have right now, we have 11 employees and 3 contractors.
Oh, wow.
And so I do the same thing. I tell people, I'm like, look, I don't just have to put the food on my table. We feed 14 people. So we need to make sure that, we're all in the same boat. When we tell the team members that work with us, we said, look, when you're out in the community, you represent the whole company. You're the face of the company.
Right.
So, you know, you take care of your partner, your buddy, the guy next door, everybody. It's a whole village, you know, and so we try to get that same level of customer service, no matter who it is that we're dealing with.
Right. I've tried it out. I had 2 employees and it didn't work out. I did pray and it's like, hey God, if it's meant for me to bring on some people, pretty much let them come in the shop. I had 2 guys come in the shop and I'm actually staying in contact with them. One guy, I have him come out every now and then to do some jobs just to kind of fill them out.
Yeah.
And he has a great heart. And I'm leaning towards it, but it's just like, I like to measure 2, 3, 4 times before I cut. So it's just like I'm making sure he's the right fit and just seeing what he wants, his goals. I like people that's goal oriented. I'll ask you, what are your goals 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And
yeah. So we actually have had that happen. We had a guy walk in our office, just walked in. He was all dressed up, handed us his resume. We interviewed him on the spot, and he's still with us today after about 10 years. So
nice.
It's interesting though, because I watch your body language, you know, and just thinking about entrusting. So it's like, I'm not sure if I want to do that. Right. And I think a lot of small business owners go through that, right? Because they've built their business in a way that has provided a lifestyle for them. It's created an avenue for them to serve their customers in a way that they're proud of.
Right.
And entrusting somebody else to do that is a difficult thing, you know, to let the reins a little loose to go. But I think it's okay that if you're comfortable being where you are as a single man shop, you like what you're doing, you have the lifestyle that you want, and you're finding success and joy in where you are, there's nothing wrong with building around that philosophy, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of, you know, business owners really struggle with that dynamic.
I agree. I definitely agree. And that's something I had to kind of sit down with my wife and talk about, because I see everybody around me, like even the shop that I rent from, he has about 2 guys, but I see everybody around me growing. But I had to realize, is this what I want? Like, we have a couple businesses that we're building now, and like this is the main bread and butter. I was just like, okay, once my businesses are getting to the point where they're kind of matching what I'm making with my business, with the detailing business, and then I can kind of let loose and kind of drop my shoulders and start looking into hiring more people. But it's just like right now, it makes me sweat.
I get it. I've got a brother-in-law that's had a business for over 40 years, and he's had massive crews. All the way down to 2 or 3 people. And the factor for him was at a point in time when he had, he's an irrigation contractor, but he had like 4 crews, and he was making a specific margin, you know, so here's his revenue, here's his margin. Yeah. And so then what he had happen is he had a bunch of guys that left, and he was making the same margin, and he realized, if I hire another crew, I'm not making more money. I'm making more revenue, but the margin isn't there. So he cut his business back to where he's got a minimal crew. He's a lot happier. He doesn't have to jump from job to job. And I think that's the difference there, is like when you know you need somebody. So Jody and I, we got to the point where we couldn't literally function. And then when we brought Ben, the guy Ben I was talking about, we brought him in, we could feel it. It was just like, you know, now he does all these other things and he loves it. And he actually keeps us on track. He'll come in and have a list, you know, and we're like, you know, typical business owner. We're like, all right, Ben, what have you done for me today? And he'll be like, okay, guys, here's everything I've done, and here's what you guys were going to do. And we're like, oh yeah. All right. Thank you. You know, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks for reminding me.
So that's a real help to us to have somebody there that has the same values and drive to get the business going, you know, because we actually tell people, we say, when we bring somebody in, we say, we want you to act like an owner, right? We want you to,
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, we want you to be like an owner, and
I want you to run this like you would run your own business.
Exactly.
And care about it. And I was talking to a couple of my buddies that own big businesses. They was like, when something happens and the employee gets emotional, it's just like, that's when you know that they really, really care a lot about the product or the customer, or is just like, I just have to get this right. When they show that they care and it kind of messes with their demeanor or it messes with their feelings, it's just like, that's when you kind of know that you have something, or this person really, really cares about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking back on the last 5 years of your business, what are some key things that you've taken away that you think are really critical for any business owner to implement in their business?
I would say profit first, pay yourself first. Um, um, Customer service is a big one. And advertising. If they don't know you're there, if they don't know you exist, how can they spend money with you? You need to have a system that tracks your, well, you need to put together a system, one that tracks your money, make sure you're getting paid, know your numbers, and also create a system that keeps you in touch with your customers, like CRM, email marketing, text marketing, things like that. So you need to stay in contact, because that's what I'm implementing in all of my businesses that I have now, that I learned with this business. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no, because when I first started, oh my goodness, I was working like 7 days a week, and I was just like, you know what? I did this. I started this business because I wanted to spend more time with the family, but I was like, well, you're working 24/7, and it's just like you're spending less time with them when you had the job. So it's just like I had to say no and cut my time back, and don't be afraid to say no, and have boundaries, because as business owners, we kind of don't turn off, but there's a time that you should be able to kind of turn off and relax and spend time with family. So I would say map out your business how you want it to, because this is something I tell my friends. I'm like, so you leave the 9 to 5 to start a business which runs 24/7, and then after you're in the business for a couple of years, you want to turn it back into a 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so I think that's, all of those are really wise. I mean, there might be this program right here, like RoadFS, that could handle a lot of those business things.
Nice.
But just throwing that out there, just but on the second
hint,
side of that is, how do you want it to look? And I think that's really important. Is how do you want that business to look? Years and years ago, Jody and I were in that same boat. We were running Saturdays, Sundays. I'd answer the phone if it rang. I didn't care what time it was.
Oh yeah.
And finally, there was one evening where I was at home and my phone went off, and it was like, I don't know, 6 o'clock. And I got up from the dinner table to go over and grab that phone. And my wife went, at 5 o'clock, you're mine.
Yep.
She said, it's over. You're turning that phone off when you come home.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually do that a lot. In fact, I was telling one of the guys that works here, he was texting with two people were texting, and they included me in the text message. He said, "Oh, didn't you see my text?" And I said, "No, I mute my conversations on my text after 5 o'clock." Nice. It's just, unless it's
especially
an absolute,
between you two,
especially between you two
guys.
But it's like, unless it's an absolute emergency, and Jody and I'll talk sometimes occasionally, but I won't. I literally don't. We have that rule in our house, is that, when we're all sitting at the dinner table, the phones are not there. Nobody's using the phones. And then I won't answer the phone if it's something that's a business related thing. If it's not an emergency, I won't deal with it. I'll either forward it off to our support team, or I will deal with it tomorrow. But I won't just answer, "Hey, got a couple questions real quick." I'm like, nope, I had to say no to that. And I think that's important to set boundaries, because if you don't set boundaries, then you're going to end up being that guy or that gal that goes way over the top and ends up doing, a 3-stage correction and a ceramic coating, when really all the customer wanted was a maintenance wash.
Yeah, that's why I set those expectations.
Yeah, exactly. This is the difference between a maintenance wash and this. And I think that's another really important thing to tell business owners, especially if you're just starting out, is you've got to figure out what those expectations are. I see a lot of the people out on the forums that are talking about that. Well, how far do you go in your your lowest level or whatever? Set those expectations up front.
For sure.
I can't make this brand new again. There's some deep scratches in here that won't come out. It's going to look better, but it's going to look 80%. take some cues from, honestly, from the PDR world. In the PDR world, a lot of times they'll give them, it's not a guarantee, but they say, I'm telling you that I can make your car look 80% of what it was originally, or 90% of what it was originally.
Mhm.
And they set that boundary, which in reality, that's a gray area. What does 80% of what original look like, right?
Right.
But they've set that expectation at the very beginning. It's not going to
Right.
be 100%. So
Mhm.
then when you do it and it literally looks 100%, you're like, dang, this
Blown
looks
away.
good. This is better than when I bought it brand new. Because sometimes when
That's
you buy
what I
it
get
brand
all the
new, it
time.
looks horrible. So I think that's really valuable, is go above and beyond.
Mhm.
You know, in the world we hear, it's like under promise and over deliver, which is
Right.
the same thing you're doing. And then set those expectations up front, and that's how you get repeat customers.
Oh yeah. Agree. I have this little it's a picture I took when I was going hard in the business. So literally I didn't cut my hair for like 2 months. My hair grew out and I was just like, when you let the business run you, and then I got a haircut and it's just like when you run your business. So that's kind of a picture I look at every now and then, just be like, hey, keep it in check.
Oh man, you got to send me that. I want to post that. That's
See,
awesome.
okay.
And obviously, I'm running the business.
Lesson learned from
See?
Kean.
I'm running the business. Get no hair going on up here.
I look in the mirror, I'm like, who is that guy? It's just like, yeah, you got to bring it in. Get some self-care going on, man. You can't be talking to the customers looking all, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, like, there's some really valuable lessons I've heard in the same sense. You know, we do a lot of stuff with Will Volunteer, and we do some stuff on Air Force One. We were there last week. And when we're there, we're talking about, shout out to all those guys. They kill themselves for an entire week. But the deal there is preservation and not perfection. That's what they preach all the time. Preservation, not perfection.
Oh yeah.
Because I think a lot of people in the detail,
we're obviously preserving you.
This is all about preservation, baby. You got to preserve.
There's no perfection there. We're preserving that, baby.
Definitely. So because a lot of times I think that detailers want to go too far. It's like, well, I can get that out. I mean, if I just spend 5 or 10 more minutes, I can get that out. And it's like, hold on a minute. This person came in for a basic wash and an interior clean, and you're out doing paint correction, right? Yeah. And we love that part. That's an art, man. When you can take scratches, you know, and you, oh yeah, I can get that out. Next thing you know, you got some stuff, man, and you're, here it comes. You can do that if you want to show them. Here's a test spot. I can make your whole car look like that. But if you spend 6 hours, 8 hours, and you're doing a paint correction, you're not making money.
Unless you're charging by the hour. And I tell clients when they come in, I'm like, hey, pretty much we're dealing with clear coat. So if you think about it, you have only this much. So each time I do a correction, anytime I do a polish or anything like that, I'm taking off. So I kind of like, hey, you're dealing with a finite resource. So pretty much after we're done, if I cut it too many times, you're going to get down to clear coat failure, oxidation. We live in Florida. So it's like, I want to preserve as much as possible. Okay, it may not look perfect, but what would you rather have? A perfect looking car that's probably going to fade in a couple years? Or would you rather have something that looks great, is protected, and maybe in a couple of years, we can do a little bit more. So after I tell them that, or, hey, that scratch is too deep. I mean, if I go get that scratch, it'll probably be like, I'll pull the paint down here just to get that one scratch out. And it's like, it's not worth it, especially if it's a daily driver. So just kind of let them know, just kind of relate to them, related to them in a way that they understand. It's like, I'm the expert. I'm going to tell you what you need. And if you want to tell me, I'm just like, you're not my customer.
You can have that. You can have that person that's just like, no, I need you to do paint correction. We actually got to do some work here locally with a gal at Sydney at iWash Detailing. And she had a gentleman in there that brought this car in, and he was really proud of the car, and it looked beautiful. And it had been done by someone else, and he said they had put a ceramic coating on it. And there were about 4 of us. We were doing some product testing. And as we started walking around, the amount of failures that we found where they had burned through, and we're like, there's been too much polishing on this car. They're everywhere. Almost every panel had a burn mark in it. But I could tell when this guy came in that's what he wanted, man. He wanted polish, and put a. He didn't care, and it showed. I mean, it was a mess, to put it mildly. It was
I
a
bet it
mess.
looked perfect in his eyes.
Oh yeah,
It looked
absolutely.
good. He was
But again,
proud
that's
of it.
expectations, and I just
Right.
at some point you got to tell the client, man, there's no more polishing going to happen on this car. You need
You need some
paint.
clear coat.
Yeah.
I need to clear coat, man. That's good.
Right.
So where do people find you? We really appreciate you taking the time. We know, pre-show you had a little baby bouncing on your arms.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure she's waiting for daddy to get off this show. So how do people find you?
Social media or like my customers?
Both, everything.
So you can find me at on Instagram, Lavish Detailing and Coating. Facebook, same Lavish Detailing. Lavish Detailing and Coating. My Facebook is Kean Moore. I think that's about it. We got a YouTube channel, but
No, I love that. And one more thing, because I love social media. I spend a lot of time on there. So does Rod. So, going through you not only are you a great business owner, but you also try to be very inspirational.
Mhm.
And today you posted, what is the one thing you're going to learn today or try today that you haven't done yet? So I'm asking you, what is the answer to that question?
Well, as a couple things, I'll just do one. So I'm actually I don't garden. So my daughter, she's in school, and I'm actually clearing out the front little. So we pavers. I'm clearing it out, grading it, and we're gonna actually plant. We're gonna plant some plants today. So I asked her this morning. I was like, "Hey, what do you want to grow today?" So she haven't told me yet, but we're gonna do some gardening today.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. That's
Awesome.
super cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you.
Yep.
Guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we will check you guys same time, same bat channel, just next week.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
See you later.
Thank you, man. It was great discussion.
Yep. Talk to you later.
See ya.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.